Welcome to Coaching Conversations podcast, where the coaches will discuss different topics that are related to our school, our teachers, provide resources and best practices. Today in episode number 2, you're going to get to hear from our one and only CEO, Jane Swan. So thank you so much, Jane, for being with us today.
Oh, thanks, Rayleigh, and thanks everyone. My pleasure.
So I'm going to pass it over to our coach, Emily Perry, for our first question with Jane.
All right, Jane, we're so excited that you're here. And my first question for you is, what led you to create Start Reach Cyber Charter School?
Hi, Emily. Thanks so much for asking. Well, the funny thing is, I was working at another cyber school, and someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. So yes, social media does work. It's a great recruiting place. And I just knew it was the right opportunity when I met the wonderful board of trustees and other leaders during my interview. It seemed the right match. I walked into the interview with this room full of people and with a lot of like mindset. It was very, very cool.
Thank you. Now I'm going to pass it kind of over to Tony Talapan, and she's going to ask her question.
Hi, Jane. We're so excited you're here. Jane, so my question for you is, what is the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
The most important lesson I've learned. I think the most important lesson that I've learned is to always be authentic and to be graceful and to always remember to treat others as I would want to be treated, that everyone really just wants to share their gifts in life.
Thank you, Jane. And now I'm going to pass it to Sarah Neal.
Hi, Jane. So I know that one of the things that you emphasize a lot is understanding that a lot of us have families and, that this is our workplace, but we have other responsibilities. So I'm curious how being a parent has influenced you and guided you in your leadership and decision making, and how you kind of approach that work-home life balance yourself.
Great questions. Thanks. There are things that I often think about because, as you said, I'm always thinking about everybody on staff and how that work balance is so important. Being a parent for me has everything to do with my leadership and my decision making here at Reach. From the moment my daughter Rebecca was born, I was separated from other moms on the floor. Rebecca happens to have a disability, and was told by doctors in one conversation in particular that I remember, that one day I would come home from work and my daughter would be sitting on the front step and she wouldn't know what to do. I'm not kidding. Those low expectations that people have for children is so exasperating. And still today, 35 years later, I still see the same things going on. I have fought all through her school to have Rebecca included in regular classrooms with her peers where she could learn side by side with them. Some years were better than others. And I could go on for a whole lot more. And I know this is probably more than you were asking, but a really important part of who I am and why I do what I do. We recently moved and Rebecca is looking for a new job. But work and family, to get back to the original question, is my life. When you love your job as I do, it is not truly work. Just like my family, every day is not perfect, but every day presents so many opportunities. And I really just wish that for everyone. And it takes a while. This was not always perfect. And it was not always my work balance, life balance was not always as good as it is now. So it does take time to get there, but I just want you to know that for me, it's kind of all the same. When you do what you love, it's not a job. Thank you.
I appreciate that honesty, and the ups and downs definitely come. For our next question, I'm going to pass it over to Katie Thiel.
Thanks so much. And Jane, your advocacy as a parent is inspiring to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that. And in the same kind of line, who inspires you?
Well, I think you know the answer. Rebecca inspires me, and every child in particular that I meet and every family that I meet, because I know that what we need to do is make a difference and have a culture where we celebrate everyone and are truly able to bring out their gifts. So that's my answer.
Thanks so much, Jane. I'm going to hand it over to Rayleigh now.
So Jane, we've talked about your role in leadership and here at Reach, and I'm curious to know what made you want to get into education in the first place. What is your origin story?
So that's an interesting question. I've always been a book lover. I write poetry, and I've always been intrigued with education. I always seem to come back to it in my journey. However, my true catalyst, as you've just heard, for this work is my daughter, Rebecca, who happens to have a disability. And first, I worked as a professional advocate. I worked at Temple University in the Institute on Disabilities, did different projects down there on an AmeriCorps project where we had people servicing folks with disabilities, helping them to do things like get out of nursing homes and get out into the world and live on their own, as well as a physician education project that people with disabilities actually educated residents in the medical field and taught them about how to serve people, using people first language and treating people as people and not just as their disability. And that's really what led me ultimately to get into teaching and then eventually into leading school.
Thank you. That's awesome. I love hearing about the backgrounds and where people come from. So thank you for that. I'm going to pass it on to Amanda.
My question is about professional learning. What professional learning opportunity or book have you found most transformative?
So I really was thinking about this question and really trying to zero into what made the most impact. And I had to go back, oh my goodness, probably 25 or more years to think about what the most profound transformative professional learning opportunity was. And that was when I met these amazing people out of the Inclusion Press in Toronto, Canada, when Rebecca was little, and had an opportunity to bring them to our school district in Pottstown and invite all of the people, all of the teachers from Pottstown School District to be part of this gathering, which was amazing, where they learned about welcoming and including children with disabilities in their classroom. They learned about the chance to explore ideas about inclusion and other tools called maps and paths to bring and include children in the classroom. Jack and Marcia are just two incredible people. Marcia is no longer with us, but they have worked tirelessly as advocates in schools as well as advocates actually internationally. I was just watching some videos earlier about them, and I know that was the most transformative professional opportunity that I had. So thanks for asking.
Thank you so much. That's such a great story to hear. I'm going to pass it now to Caitlin Ream, our high school instructional coach.
Hi, so my question really relates to kind of our school in particular. And I know that there are so many changes constantly happening and we're continuing to grow and grow. So what are some of the most challenging and rewarding aspects of leading a cyber school?
Oh, absolutely. So lots of those, right? As always, I like to talk about the positive things first. And the most rewarding aspects of leading a cyber school is really the opportunity to reach and help improve lives of children, families, and staff all across this great state of Pennsylvania. Education should always be about recognizing the gifts and strengths of children. And what we're able to do here is really tailor to the needs and help children grow. We can do that in cyber school in amazing ways, one-to-one conversations with children and families. We're able to present so many unique opportunities for our learners. Of course, STEM camps to career experiences all across Pennsylvania. So that real personal attention really makes a difference and is rewarding. And we see those kids graduate and walk across that stage. There's nothing like it. One of the most challenging aspects is assisting our families who are experiencing homelessness, food insecurity, and just personal life difficulties. And as you all know, there are many. If one or more of these basic life needs are not taken care of, school feels secondary and often is. Uniquely, though, we have such an amazing team of social workers, family mentors, of course, and counselors who can help with all of these very important concerns every day. But they continue to be big challenges, but families come to us because we can help them with those challenges.
Thank you for that. All right, passing it off to Kaylin Anderson.
Hi, Jane. So I wanted to jump in here with my question and kind of take us in a little bit of an opposite direction. There have been a ton of amazing questions about why reach and all of the things that have kind of compiled your career. But my question is, if you weren't in education, what would your alternative career have been?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one because everything has always led to education for me. But I think my love of books and writing, I would like to say one of my initial passions in life has been to be a writer, and probably had focused more time there would have taken that path as well.
That's amazing. It's always nice to kind of hear, what that alternative journey might have been. And sometimes I think our journeys can kind of include some of those things along the way. As you said, you write poetry just as something that you enjoy. Sometimes it's nice to have that balance for ourselves. And last but not least, I'm going to pass the mic to Denise for our last question.
All right, thank you so much. So we've heard a lot about the past and how you got here, Jane. We see where reach is, but my question has to do with the future. So what is your future vision for reach?
When I think of reach and I think of the future and how quickly already it has gotten here, right? It's 7 years, 7 school years already. But beyond the 7 school years, it's kind of the same as it's always been. Maybe with some renewed imaginings. I see that we continue and need to serve each child and family with grace to promote strengths, inclusion, and inspire success. That hasn't changed. But I think some of the things that will change will be the types of careers and experiences we're able to help our students imagine and become part of.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And I'm going to pass it to Rayleigh.
Yes, thank you again, Jane, for joining us and answering all of our questions. We really appreciate it. So this wraps up our episode number 2. Remember, the Coaching Conversations podcast drops every payday. So make sure you look for that in the one-stop shop and emails and meetings. Make sure you're listening to our interviews and also any resources and tips we have for you in the future. Thanks for listening.